I'm that girl who is sending you a big, the biggest love bubble hug, the love, the best intentions, the best unconditional, massive. Come over here. I'm going to give you everything I've got. I'm going to embrace you and love you and tell you everything is going to be okay. All is well. All is well. All is well. What a crazy ride, right? And it seems like when I am taking clients through and they're experiencing being on the new earth, and then they suddenly notice I'm there as well. What we share together, when, oh, look, shit, it actually is, it's real. Who would have known that? Is quite funny, isn't it? It's quite wonderful. And we have this massive sense of joy and this massive release. And, there's a lot going on when we ground ourselves into the new earth. Fantastic times, absolutely fantastic times. And, we have got so much to look forward to. And for those who are not going to the new earth, they also have so much to look forward to. They get to go home. They either get to go home to home planets or back to source or whatever their soul desires. Fantastic, right? Absolutely something super exciting to feel and believe and know it's coming. If there is still hesitation, that is fine. That's still your journey. You're going to have to accept it one way or another, and it often can be when we're there. So, that's fine. It's like when we're children and we feel like Christmas is never coming because it's still December the 5th and we've got so long to go. And, we know eventually it comes, regardless of, if we get all our hopes and dreams at Christmas morning, it comes. So there's that. There's so much to be said. So much I want to share with you guys, and it feels very important. As it always does. And it's about us growing with our perceptions to be able to really see what's going on and stop just running the narrative of certain things that actually sort of do limit us in our growth and perceptions. And we all love assumptions because, assuming certain things makes us feel safe, like we've got a good solid barrier of certain information or perspectives or opinions or whatever, right? Our story that we tell ourselves about what we've done in this lifetime, that's one perspective. And depending on kind of your attitude and approach, you could either view your parts of your life as really horrible, shameful, embarrassing, whatever. And, this is the time to just have a quick reflect back on all of our choices we've made, we have been responsible for all of the things that we've done. Sometimes when we are living our best life, we have to be of service, and sometimes that looks like us bottoming out our frequency vibrations to trigger others or be holding space for others and matching their frequency energy and remembering what it feels like to play in the dramatics of emotions and get really carried away in looping, all in the name of helping other people. So there is so much to be said. So let's think about our biggest worry. What are you really afraid of? What is your biggest fear? And if you're like, oh shit, I'm not going here today. I thought this was going to be just funs and cutesies and you would see Joe swear all the time. Whatever you're here for, have no expectations and see if you can feel into and be ready for just thinking about one of your big fears. If you're like, I'm not going to do that, cool. What about your second biggest fear? Don't reach for the bigger stuff yet. If that feels like it's too much, too scary. We know we're supposed to face our fears and then actually exploring it, actually truly exploring it, and not like, yeah, so whatever you've chosen. So we're just going to do this quickly. And I'd love this opportunity to do it together with you, knowing that, while you feel like you're just alone in that room listening to me, I am very much there with you, just like your guides are very much there with you. And so just for a second, just think about an event or think about a situation that you're afraid of. It may not even be something tangible. It may be something like, what if I have no money? I mean, that, that's a very, pressing one. It gets lots of people's attention because you have to review what's really significant, what's really necessary, and what's essential, and what's luxuries. And then also we have to dig into deep faith that, our guides know what we need. And even if we worry, I see so many people, this is interesting, they want me to say this now. Well, some people need to be in certain locations and have certain jobs. They are, they're stuck. Even if they hate it and they're kicking and screaming, it's super significant why they're there. And that's always explainable in sessions. There are other people who are supposed to leave jobs because it no longer serves them. And they're afraid that they're not going to get money. And I've seen this so many times in sessions where the subconscious says, leave this. This is so lowering your frequency vibrations. You're fucking miserable. And, the money is not serving you. That money is not serving you. That way of life is not serving you. Drop it, and you will find exactly what you're supposed to find. And it will be something that is uplifting you. And it may be in a completely different area that you've never thought about before. Maybe because you've thought, oh, no, the service industry beneath me. We are here to be of service. 100% we are. And if we are not really wanting to engage in people and be smiling to people and be happy to be here, and we're miserable as we're paper shuffling in our job, chances are the universe may want to give you a kick up the bum to then be of service, literally of service. And that may even look like packing people's groceries. And for someone who's got a degree and feels like they've got this great industry and there's something, and they're above everything, we're not above anyone. We're equals. And if you are struggling to trust that you're going to get money, money is not the problem, is it? It actually is our interactions and behaviors with others. And if we're a really big light being who is capable of sending pure love energy to everyone, and we're still miserable as we're, living our best, accountant life. Sorry to the accountants. If you love your job, you do you. Be in joy. You crazy little number freaks. I love it. We need you. Yeah, someone needs you. And love and lie to you, and genuality, because I do know some great accountants, so I'm not picking on you guys. If your job is giving you joy, and it's not. So anyway, that's a tangent. So let's focus on an actual event then, instead of looking at fears, because facing your fears is really important, because then it can actually make you think about the worry, money. Oh my God. Think about, okay, well, if the universe is saying you're off path, it will drag your butt to the place where, you may get redundant or something. And, we're victims to the universe, but actually, if we can have trust and faith in them, go with the ride, go with that journey. Do not feel disestablished because you've been made redundant. It's a gift, and it won't be until you actually get to the new job that you're like, should have done this years ago. I freaking love being of service. I love it, because I see so many people so sad and heavy, and then when I interact with them, they have this upliftment, and I feel like I'm being of service. I feel like I'm being a spiritual energy of value today. And I can guarantee you that feels amazing. But while you are physically being of service, you need to honestly and sincerely know how to ground yourselves. We've all heard the word, but actually, do we know how to do it? And what does it actually feel like and look like when it's done successfully? You may say, oh, I'd like to ground myself. Or I'm going to buy heaps of tools to ground myself. But you actually have to ground yourself. And it's an invisible thing. And you will know when you truly have grounded yourself versus being still energetically in turmoil and saying, oh, I think I've grounded myself. I did this something. It feels so good. Truly in grounding honestly feels like you've just, how when you like brush your teeth and you're like, oh, crisp and fresh feeling. Well, that's how you feel inside. You feel that, oh, good. Okay, that's oh, thank goodness for that. I can see was really building up a lot of plaque and tartar in my energy field. Fun times. So Anyway, so we haven't got to the point. Okay, so let's think about a time where something really horrible happened. It may be a full relationship. It may be a car accident. It may be something that's very traumatizing to you still that you won't look at it. It might be an abortion. It might be a rape. It might be, running over an animal accidentally, something, there is no judgment here. No judgment, including no judgment for yourself, because the lessons you learned after that experiences are the lessons to grow and learn from and have compassion, understanding. And when we know that we are playing the roles to learn and have feelings and emotions for those experiences, we are grateful for those lessons, the hard ones, the absolutely hard ones. But when you ask your subconscious, why the heck that nearly destroyed me, and they say, all of these situations, you have two options: for this to define and break you, or for this to define and empower you. And sometimes it feels like, this is definitely breaking me. I'm breaking, I'm feeling it all. I'm looping, I'm repeating that event over and over and over and over and over again. And I'm bringing it into every current next day after that for years. And it becomes so big. The proportion of the experience becomes huge. It eclipses everything. And we have to, if it's a one moment experience, we have to unpack it. We have to. And for some people, it's about the death of their loved ones. Not pleasant, especially if it's not, oh, fantastic, they died in their sleep. If it's a very long, painful illness that feels like it's going on forever, and it is hell on earth for them as you watch them, so therefore it's hell on earth for you. And then when they depart and it's so painful because you miss them and want them, it's very, very, very tangibly, very challenging, especially when we can feel them so energetically afterwards. And then we may feel like I got angry with them at one point, or may have done something else to them. And, if you're putting if you're blaming anything, whether it's the medical industry, whether it is you choosing to put them into a hospice, whether it is you accidentally running them over, this is your part that you played for that emotional experience. But soul life contract exit points must be respected, even though it's so hard. And that's part of when we become spiritually mature, we know that soul had an option to choose their life contract exit points. Now, can we respect all life contracts? Can we respect all life contract exit points? And can we then explore, without losing our emotional balance, the lessons and experiences for all? We sometimes can see that people's life choices have made them so miserable, so bitter, so twisted, so angry, that the form of cancer that they create for themselves is a definite reference point to what's going on for them and where their biggest hurt is. And so we feel dreadfully sorry for them. There's so much that it's been a big weekend. It's going to be a big weekend for me in terms of sessions. And so I feel like there's just so much. Are we still ignoring these traumas? Is there one person that you still don't want to think about, don't want to look at, don't want to think about, and still feel pissed off, angry, hurt, neglected, embarrassed? What's the full range? Like if there is one person or, a few people or situations where, you still feel like you were the victim, or, you were, the bully, or whatever, go back and look at that and question what was the lessons there? What was I supposed to feel and think about? And often, Some people will romanticize about the boyfriend that got away or the girlfriend that got away. And in reality, that was for you to feel certain things, like a practice run. Not to take people for granted, for example, is a big one. To do enough of your inner work to be ready and mature for relationships, to see it as equal partnerships. There's a whole lot of reasons why we have these practice runs. And so many people still have this thing, this regret. So, again, it's about the range of emotions that we have. And some people like to make lists of all of their emotions, the full range of emotions, and categorize where certain events lay. And we were sort of like mind mapping, relationships with our parents and our siblings and all this sort of stuff, where our emotional, where do we want our own relationships to be with them? Are they too toxic? Are they too hurtful? Are they too spiteful? Awesome. Just send them love. Drop all our expectations of what we need from them. Just send them love. Yes, we all want to have family. We all want to have, great connections. But if they're not ready, we can't force that. So all we can change is our demands and expectations of people and accept them for where they're at and send them love. They will feel our frustration and bitterness. 100% they will. They may not recognize it as us being heartbroken or frustrated or angry or disappointed with them, but they will feel us very connectively. It's impossible for them to not. And while they're already in a bigger, busy world environment, distracting themselves, it's just another weight that energetically we're putting on them. So we must be able to really look at our problem people and actually send them love. And not only does it lift their frequency vibrations, but bonus, it raises yours. And it can be hard, especially when we don't feel like we've done anything wrong, especially when we've only wanted to love them. We've only wanted to be respected by them. We've only wanted to be supported and seen by them. And now we can only expect that for ourselves. We can only fully love ourselves. We can only fully respect ourselves. We can do everything for ourselves. In fact, we must do everything for ourselves, 100%. So then we're not demanding other people who still haven't even maybe touched their inner work to meet our needs and fulfill our love cups or our attention, whatever. If we are still having expectations on anyone in our lives to do things for us, well, then fantastic, but it has to come from you first. Always. And when we do reflect back on our journey to see what we're expecting from others, I was a child. Of course, my parents were supposed to give me heaps of attention, heaps of love, and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that kind of is an assumption of their roles, but often life contracts and necessary lessons for that child could not ever have been lovingly nurturing them, because they needed to be sort of gaslitted with their lack of attention and love to strengthen themselves, to not go into this is a defining experience that's going to break me, to I'm going to empower myself, I'm going to rely on myself, I'm going to trust myself, I'm going to be self-sufficient, I'm going to be strong and independent. Even though we should feel entitled to have great love from our family and friends, always supportive, always uplifting, always super happy, and yay, jazz hands. Yes, our souls want that. However, our souls already got that. That's the reason why. Our true soul family relationships that are not on this earth, and we all are coexisting together, that's amazing. That's fantastic. That's everything that we really want here. But unfortunately, that's not what we wanted here in terms of our life contracts. We wanted, the not the polarity, but a different experience that 3D life has to offer. And so while we are still focusing on the lack of what we have in this lifetime, when we think, I don't have the mum and dad that loved and supported me, and no one was at my soccer games or whatever, sucks, right? But it was not supposed to break you. It was supposed to show you that during that soccer game, you were focused on the game. And it was about working as a team, that team. And it wasn't about, you know, waving to mum and dad at the stadium. It was about focusing on the moment of the game, being a team player, and actually knowing that after the game, you know, you can connect back in with your family. And I say the game, that soccer game, is, you know, earth life right now. And after the game, after we've worked together as a team, after we've finished, after we've won, there is no winning, is there? It's about experiences, and sometimes we feel like we can lose to then win lessons, experiences, and that whole emotional range of whatever. So when we remember that, you know, there's more than just this life, and there will be more that we explore after this life, we can then just focus now on now. And you know, that true and self-empowerment to really love ourselves and know that we are valuable people to others when we have done our inner work, that is priceless. There's a huge difference between teaching people versus inspiring people. And when we're wanting to tell them what's their problems and what their inner work is and blah, 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 they're going to shut down. Because, you know, there are lots of people that assume, well, I'm a valid adult. I pay my taxes, you know, like I've got it good. I don't need any growth. I would never even consider looking at my childhood because I'm an adult now. Yeah, none of that affects me. And it does. It always affects us, right? Until we heal from it. We stop talking about the broken bone after it heals, and we continue on. When the bone is broken, we will always think about it and fixate on it, because we can still feel the broken bone as it heals and it becomes stronger. And then, you know, when we can use that limb again after that healing process, we forget about it because it's not keeping, it's not still sore, it's still not, you know, or maybe, but you could say that with a trauma, you know, a broken bone is that trauma. And once you heal from that trauma, you forget about it. You know that it happened, or that time when blah, 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 but you heal from it and you strengthen yourself gently back and through, and, you know, be able to use that bone again. And people who say that they don't have any inner work to do and there's no problems, but they're still talking about their asshole father or grandparent or whatever, you know, that's their broken bone. You know, that's their trauma. So instead of saying to them, oh, why are you still talking about this? Why are you still holding on to this? This is not serving you. Those people obviously weren't, you know, well-balanced, well, healthy, emotionally, mentally people, and they're projecting their pain on you, and you're holding it as if this was a, you know, this was a personal attack at you. Their attack at you was their attack at the world, because they haven't done any of their inner work. They were, you know, starving of self-love, self-empowerment. They're so bitter and hurt that they just, you know, emotionally destroyed everyone they could. But again, we choose to feel the way we feel. If we feel abandoned, fantastic, we can't run from ourselves. So then start knowing that you're always going to be with you. There's so much perspectives that are needed to be able to empower ourselves. We mustn't be afraid of the emotions. Guilt is not something that can serve us. Yes, we are aware of it. Yes, we you know, we don't appreciate the times where we've made interesting choices that have created the guilt. But if people can't let go of the guilt, it's great in some ways, because then they're very much aware not to make that same mistake again. Don't be that asshole. Don't be the asshole. That guilt's horrific. And so, you know, sometimes we can't release certain things until, you know, until it becomes a habit that we don't repeat the same mistakes. And so if you're still holding on to certain things, it may, and you're like, why can't I just let that go? It might be because you're still learning to trust yourself that you're not going to repeat the same behavior, the same patterns. So when we can really notice all our intentions and all the purposes and reasons why how we treat each other, you know, it's really important to be responsible for, you know, what we're doing. And often we just, we hear this and and then, you know, we still have this exception to the rule because there's still someone that we're not wanting to connect in with, or still resentful for, or still holding them accountable for 15 years of, you know, a toxic conversation or something like that. We don't necessarily need to have everyone back in our lives, but we shouldn't have this angry resentment towards them. We should be able to be completely neutral and balanced to everyone and be able to send everyone love. And that includes everyone who's even died, that we know. Because my subconscious is saying, because they're watching you even closer. Well, that's going to haunt them, isn't it? Thanks for that, subconscious. So anyway, it's so easy to block people out, isn't it? Because we don't want to deal with it. And, you know, sometimes it is empowering to deal with it, because then we realize, oh God, I was actually a victim to that. And we're like, oh, can't be a victim. There is legitimate times when we are the victims, 100%, 100%. So, you know, did we use that being a victim to leverage out sympathy and attention for decades? You know, that's a choice. But again, what are we seeking from others? You know, we should be just trusting that we can share what's going on for us and not try to get people's, you know, attention, sympathy, and a whole lot of stuff like that. Really, you know, that's when you really know, God, I have matured. Fuck, amazing. Someone I was talking to the other day was upset because the mother wasn't empathic, and you know, felt really sort of dismissed. And so because of that pain of not having an empathic connection to the mother, she's gone and she's over empathic to every single person she meets. And, you know, no surprising it burns her out, because, you know, that's a lot of work. And it served her, because you know, where she's at in the world needs a lot of true empathy, like heaps of empathy, and that is healing. That's part of her duty, that's part of her role. But because she's still holding on to that hurt of not having that beautiful empathic connection to the mother, and, you know, super sympathy and all this sort of stuff, she has gone out to the world with that badge of honor, and she can't heal or forgive or let go. Well, she is forgiving, but it's constantly on her mission, must be feeling everyone, must be super empathic to everyone, because that's her role. And it seems like now that she's done quite a bit of healing in that area, and she's not able to fully sort of empower herself through knowing the difference between who needs her empathy and who doesn't. Because when we have got that big mission to have feelings for the entire world, well, the entire world's not necessarily asking for that. I mean, some of the people in the world are actually self-sufficient. But when we sort of feel like we must be maximum feeling of everybody's stuff, to be in everyone's faces, to get, I feel you, blah, blah, blah. She's constantly trying to heal and be recognized from the hurt feelings that when she was not seen and had empathy for. So, you know, it's very purposeful for her to feel lack, to then want to share that fully to the world, because she knows that pain of not having empathy put onto her. And so that's her big thing. And now at that nearly breaking point, she has suddenly thought, wait, do I really need to be that intensive with everybody? When someone's not asking me or showing me to be so empathic to them, and I'm doing it to everybody, is it a case of maybe I don't need to do that? Can I start trusting that people actually start being able to do that for themselves and empathize for their own situations? Of course, when you are giving like that to everyone, you are going to find some piss takers that are like, I'm never going to do my inner work. I'm never going to empathize and grow from these lessons. I just want someone to give it to me all. And so you'll find those little energetic leeches, or whatever we want to label them as, to be able to do all of the stuff that they are lacking for themselves. So again, it's about being self-sufficient. It's again about knowing the difference between empowering people and disempowering people. And when you're always doing something for other people, always, you may not even be giving them the space and the opportunity to grow for themselves. I mean, while we're trying to heal the world and empower the world, blah, 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 the world's capable of doing it for themselves. And I'm talking about humanity here. Humanity needs to learn how to care for each other. And we can't helicopter humanity as much as we would love to do that. Humanity needs to empower itself. And it starts with individuals, obviously. And the more that we show how we can be grounded and not needing others because we're not taking from others. Because if humanity is so distracted trying to heal everyone else, but not heal themselves, can you see why this is a big distraction? Can you see that it has to start with individual self-love, honestly, and stop beating ourselves up for the choices and the lessons and experiences that we played in that full range of emotions, as well as those people who did stuff to us to teach us how it felt to have lack of that support and that love and those connections. It's important to see the web of connections and the lessons. And I have always had clients who have really been broken by a parent who has died, who taught them fucking horrendously hard, tough love, like beyond, like brutal tough love, right? Hideous. It defines you. It definitely defines you. And when they call them in, they're scared to call them in to be ridiculed and all this fear that they still think maybe the soul is. And the soul comes in, and the love that it sends their child that lifetime, it will make them cry, will make me cry. And, you know, it's intensive, that love, because they did their role, sometimes too much, sometimes too well. But their role was to empower you to know the difference, to have a moral compass, to know what loving someone and the significance of truly loving someone with no expectations, no conditions, but just truly wanting to love and uplift people. Profound, absolutely profound. So always try to seek a more balanced perspective of the lessons and experiences we had. Respect all life contracts, because while they look like they're playing the role of the biggest arsehole in the world, you know, that's a lot for a soul to take on. It really is. And, you know, while we're all perfect in this lifetime, potentially we may have had that role in another lifetime, right? So no good or bad, all experiences, all lessons. And when we trust that the game of life is significant, important, and, you know, it's the game, step back in the intensity of your responsibilities that you think you must be showing the world and doing for the world. A lot of us are over complicating it with thinking that we have to be doing certain things, healing everyone, giving everyone answers to their problems. If we're taking other people's lessons and experiences away from them, we're part of the problem. We don't want to be that, do we? Especially when that's not our intentions. But, you know, along the way, I know I've done that. And, you know, chances are everyone's accidentally done it. And, you know, we have to see them with their wobbles on their little scooter bikes with the training wheels, and we have to let them go. And we have to let them go and they know that we're here for them on the sidelines, but we're not helicoptering them. We're not trusting them because we are holding on to the handles ourselves, and they're wanting to go, and they're wanting to experience, and they're wanting to explore, and they're wanting to practice for themselves to move forward. And when we're so afraid that they could get hurt, you're only afraid of them to have lessons and experiences and have opportunities for growth. We mustn't block people from growth. And sometimes we think by protecting them and not letting them experience, you know, a pain of a broken marriage, you know, you're projecting something that they potentially need to know and feel themselves. You're protecting them from a whole lot of stuff. And sometimes we are so afraid to hurt other people, we do not live our true lives. We do not truly meet our own needs. And when you're throwing away the things that give you joy and the opportunities and the things that you want to do because you're trying to make everyone else happy, well, then that's an assumption. We have to be happy truly for ourselves with the things that we do. And if we're holding back doing anything because we're worried that we're not going to get approval from others, stop seeking approval from others. Have approval of self. While of course we would love to have everyone support and endorse us, that is not going to be the case. When we stop caring what other people think about the things we do in our own independent lives, that is when we truly have the best freedom of all. You know, I mean, it's all choices and perspectives. I mean, I'm not saying if let's be dramatic here. If you're going to be a serial killer, don't quote me on what I've just said. But maybe, you know, I don't know, your choices, life contracts and all, but you know, some people are saying, I can't change my diet, Jo, because, you know, my whole family love this way of living. I'm like, cool, well, then you eat independently. You make your own meals. Independent? Oh, no. Oh, they just call me a rabbit. And I don't like that. Don't want to be called a rabbit. I'm like, so you're going to eat food that makes you feel very sick because you don't want to be called a name. Okay. Choices. So, you know, what is holding us back? You're loved. You are respected. There may be some questions and some shock. No one likes change. Everyone's going to be shocked. If you started wearing mini skirts again, people are going to be shocked. But, you know, there's that. You know, who cares what we do, really? And if you're still fragile, that people will give you judgment or opinions, that's their own business. You know, this is about empowering self. And I do see so many people worried about, oh, if I change my job, I might not get the same money. And, you know, then my partner is going to be really stressed and angry with me, blah, 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 blah. You know, teamwork is really important. But if you're not happy in what you're doing, you are projecting that out to the world, my friend. And we can feel it. And so you have to find your joy. You have to do the things that uplift you. Because when you are truly uplifted, the universe then supports you with that. When you're truly of service, the universe will support you with that. It's not possible for it to not. It's important to know life contracts. If you have a life contract to be homeless, it will happen. Now, what is the lessons for being homeless? What is that experience all about? It's important to know these things. And I haven't heard a subconscious say that is part of their life contracts yet. But for some people, that is. So no judgment on anyone. It's not possible for us to really do that, right? While still being these fantastically, unconditionally loving beings. Life is so fun. And we do take it all so seriously. But it's about our choices of emotions that we want to carry and our perspectives. And it's about not ignoring the stuff that's in the background that's still very firmly attached to us. And when we can release everything that no longer serves us and have acknowledgement and really unpack it well and trust that it is all the roles we chose to play. And while we may not understand some roles, and while we may be quite shocked with the roles that people are playing because this, you know, the bad guys this lifetime, there is important significance to those roles. And while that soul is doing its duty to help humanity, yes, they do help humanity by playing the villain. They do help humanity because it creates many heroes who want to step up to, you know, combat, to show and point out the villain. And so encourages people to step up. It's so significant what's happening on this earth. It is important, it is exciting when we can see the play as it's unfolding. So go with joy, my friends. Love yourselves. Listen to such beautiful, soulful music and just celebrate you. You're freaking awesome. Don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. Send them to me. I'll beat them up for you.